this is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
On this Sunday's edition of Weekend Warriors, we're going back to drafting. We've made the way from Ohio to Charlotte, and we're hitting up the Gen 1, the OG Roval at Charlotte. Drafting will be the game of the day, with still a lot on the line for a lot of people, with those championship standings in all categories, except maybe who might actually win the championship. You can see movement here today. And they've got to get it figured out quick, because today is the penultimate round, and you only have 80 minutes left of racing for this entire season left to go. We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel in the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Adam Young, and with me in the booth here is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. So Taylor, hey, Charlotte, Gen 1 Roval, this place, not as easy as it seems, especially in these SRF, few places that might upset the cars. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, in case somebody's unfamiliar with the original Roval here at Charlotte?
Of course, Adam, and welcome everyone to America's racetrack. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're on the older configuration of the road course, which is a 2.25 mile or 3.6 kilometer 12-turn circuit. This track is located up in Concord, North Carolina, not too far from where I live here up in the great state of North Carolina. And this track opened in 1960, and the old road course configuration that you see here today that we'll be racing on has seen many forms of motorsports, from old IMSA races to even the SCCA races competing at this famous track. To give you the fan to see what it is like to take on this Charlotte Roval course, let's go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Daniel Sadro here in place of the actual lap guide. And Taylor, I mean, that's pretty tight braking down there into one. You got the pit exit just off there to the left, but you start getting into the interior section of the course here. You get through the first two turns, both left-handers. You come to this right-hander and another right-hander, and when they start getting deep into it, you actually have a little bit of elevation change, and it kind of gets off camber. We go through the next couple of corners, and that can upset these cars, can't it?
Yeah, it's so easy to lose control of the cars coming up through this uphill, off-camber corners, and then you have to go back down again before making another incline up through the final corners before you get onto the oval section of the track. This part right here, you have to line up properly as well, because this transition can be very difficult, to where you could either bottom the car out or even lose control of the car if you put too much throttle intake. And now we're on NASCAR's turn 1 and 2 and the back straightaway. Pretty much drafting will be your best friend as you try to get the most speed out of your car, as you're pretty much running the entire oval circuit, excluding part of the front straightaway here, Adam.
Yeah, that's right, Taylor. I mean, and then you're all the long way around, and if you were by yourself without the draft, the speed difference, I believe, is anywhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 miles an hour with or without a partner. So that could be drastic and make for a long day for somebody that may not have, or may be running in clean air. And this is one place you definitely don't want to have that clean air here today. Well, hey, Weekend Warriors, all season long, has been brought to you by the Hallett Race Shop. Hallett Race Shop is located at the Hallett Race Track near Tulsa, Oklahoma. They are a full-service SRF shop and an authorized customer service rep for SCCA Enterprises and owners of the Hallett Race Track. You can find more information at hallettracing.net. And I got something else special for you here today. Attention all iRacers. We found a way to get you all on the same boat. Imagine that. Take a cruise with us to celebrate the new year. That's right. Sail out of Miami with us on January 5th, 2020 for a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise on the Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas, an amazing ship. Special group pricing has been put in place for iRacing members and their friends. Sail away and get together with members of the iRacing community and get ready to see Phillipsburg, St. Martin, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Labadee, Haiti. For as little as $125 a day, you can cruise the high seas for 7 days, and for a small deposit, you can secure your spot today. Payment plans available for everybody. Contact Brenna today at the cruise shop to get in on this special offer. Email or call, but do it now. Spots are filling pretty quickly. Brenna at cruiseshopfw.com. Go over to their Facebook events page with all the details about this amazing offer. Facebook.com/cruise shop FW. We'll see you on the ship. All right, hey Taylor. So championship still in play, and we got to bring the S1 standings up. The main championship here this season. It has been, well, almost Sven Demmel this entire way. He's got a 56-point lead now over top of Daniel Sadro. The biggest thing about that is here so far, I do not see Sven Demmel out on track. So maybe he can show up at the last minute. He's done that a few times, so we'll keep an eye and see if he's able to get here for today. But outside of that, positions still up for play. Daniel Sadro is second. Jerry McAreevy in third. They could very well swap positions here today. And then Donald Federer, he's the S2 leader, and he's showing up on the S1 board. He's 135 points back, but Steven Elson, who has made some gains here as of late, is sitting fifth in that standings. Won't maybe try to get up into fourth before the season ends next week at Spa. Taylor, go ahead and show us those S2 standings.
Well, we're taking a look at that. As we already discussed, Donald Federer is currently your points leader in the S2 championship. He's currently got 506 points, but a great effort for him. In second position, though, 76 points back. Ryan Sorrell having a little bit of a great season so far as he's gunning in second position. As we go to third position, Ramon Regaldo is going to be sitting there. The Spaniard is sitting in the third position in points. And then Adam Bradshaw gained 3 positions after the last round, but still has quite a ways back. And as we round out the rest of the top 5, Jim McGill dropped down a position. He's 147 points back. But while we're waiting for qualifying to go underway, let's take a look at our race details for today's race. Just like we discussed earlier, this is the penultimate round, round 11 of a 12-week season that this series has. The setups are open, but these drivers will be required to take one pit stop as the fuel reduction is about 35%. So the race distance is a 40-minute race. So a very short race, sprint race, almost like we would see in normal spec racer races, but a great show. We'll only see one pit stop. And then, of course, the points are rationed out from 100 points to 25 points. And, of course, incident penalties will be included. So if you have too many incident points, you will be losing points in your championship. And then, of course, if you do have a bit of damage on that car there, Adam, there will be one fast repair, one spare car for you in the pits for you come down pit road and come back out.
Yeah, that clean air dam up front is going to be critical here for today. Probably more so than any race this season, with pretty decent chunk of the track being all on the throttle. And of course, Taylor did mention those points are rationed. That's going to be very important. Of course, the podium is set 190.83 for first, second, and third. But beyond that, it goes all the way down to 25 points for last place on the day. So that's what we mean by points are being rationed. Hey, today's race on the iRacing Esports Network. We're happy you're joining us on there here today. If you haven't subscribed yet to the iRacing Esports Network, you're missing out. Click that red subscribe button down to the lower right of your viewing window. All right, so been talking about the racetrack, everything else. The racetrack here today will provide some of the stories of the race because, well, obviously passing zones here, Taylor, going to be the oval. I mean, you're probably going to see spots trade. I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade 2, 3, maybe even 4 times sometimes on the oval, particularly when we get closer to the end of the race if we're in packs. And then turn 1, you should be able to make some moves. But we talked about the danger zones already, Taylor. 7 and 8, that's going to be, I think, those uphill sections there where they're kind of off camber a little bit. So that's going to be something we're going to be watching out for here this afternoon. We check in on qualifying, and so far at the top of the standings, a little bit of a surprise. I'm not going to lie to you. Chris Murakami is out there. He is on the leaderboard in P1 here so far with 0.04 of a second over top of Daniel Sadro. So very interesting so far on the qualifying end of things. Richard Yallen, who I would suspect would be the one that might have taken the pole here today, so far sitting in third. So Taylor, how's he doing? Do you think he's going to be able to set any kind of fast lap here on this go-round, or we're going to have to watch him on the next go-round?
We might have to just keep an eye and see what happens. If he's able to maybe get a little bit of a draft when he gets onto the back straightaway, Richard is, but he might have to wait till the next time. He had a little bit of help coming up behind him as we're coming up onto the transition part of NASCAR's turn 1 and 2, but I think he might have to wait one more lap to get that fast lap in. Thankfully, though, he's got about 5 minutes left on the clock to try to set that up.
Very, very, as you would expect for this type of track, very close on the qualifying. Right now, we have 20 cars that have set times, and the top, I believe, see here, looking back, going back to the top 13 are all within 1 second of each other. So very tight qualifying out there here for today. So far, we do not see Sven Demmel out there. We do not see Ramon Regalado. I do not see Ryan Sorrell. And I also don't see Jason Perry. So we're missing some big names out there here for this afternoon. And then looking at David Gaspers, though. David Gaspers making the trip out here today. He's sitting here running in P7 and did not improve his time here that time around. But minute 22, that's still pretty quick.
It is minute 22 around this track, especially utilizing that slipstream as he gets a little bit loose going through there. Those areas right there, those first 3 corners are all banking, so you even have to be a little bit even more careful through that section. Want to not get too low or too high. That will end up messing up your line. As Gasper went off course, he had decided to go ahead, go back to pit road, get some fresh tires, and go back out on track. Look and see a couple of other drivers. There's a pack of cars right in front of Jim McGill. As we're coming onto the front straightaway, Jim McGill getting ready to cross the line. I don't think he's going to improve on that time, as we now see Jurasek take the pole right there with a 1 minute 21.283. Excellent.
Not only takes the pole, but takes the pole so far by 0.4 of a second almost. So that is a statement in a situation like this here. So definitely the fastest lap time here so far.
It is indeed, and a great effort. We still have a couple of other drivers still out on track trying to get it. There are several groups of cars trying to group up, get a nice train of cars to get a good slipstream. If you are towards the back of that pack, you might get a really good lap. And so you might need to make sure you set it up to where you're that last car in that train of cars on the banking oval section of the course to get that fast lap in. As David Gasper is now coming up back up onto NASCAR's turn 1 and 2. He's going to try to set up a good opportunity to get a good time in as he sees a slipstream right in front of him. 4-car train coming out down the back straightaway. He's going to peek out though a little bit. Maybe get a little air. I don't know what he's trying to do right now. It would be best to stay right in behind the car in front of him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's that interested in staying tucked up inside that slipstream there. Stevie Ray also just set his fastest time, but immediately took the car to pit road. So he's going to be sitting 7th on the leaderboard. Alrighty, so we got about 2 minutes, 30 seconds left here in qualifying. And we mentioned a few minutes ago that tight gap. Well, that's still, even with Miroslav Juracek a minute ago setting that really fast time, that still leaves the top 11 all within 1 second of each other. So expecting a very competitive race out there, because once we get going here, Taylor, that 1 second gap, I know you've got a little bit more experience in the SRF than I do, but in most cars, you can probably catch a whiff of the draft about 1.5 seconds back. How is that going to be in the SRF? Is it about that kind of distance?
It is about that, and that's one thing that they will be, compared to with other cars where you could probably build a gap. These cars, it's very easy to see a long train of these Spec Racer 4s lined up nose to tail, compared to with other cars where you might see 2 or 3 be able to break away from a pack. These cars like to stay nose to tail tight together throughout a duration of a race. Very easy to see a lot of incidents happening, especially going into the low speed corners and braking zones. So I definitely have to keep an eye on that, especially after lap 1 or lap 2 of this race here today at Charlotte, especially going into turn 1.
See who else here is on track. Looking at Miroslav. Miroslav here once again setting really fast lap times. Let's see what Jim McGill is able to do here. Is he going to be able to improve on that 23? He is not. I think a lot of that is because he is in pretty much clean air there at that point. See how the big names out there on track. We're still missing some other names like Sven Demmel. Sven Demmel is not out there. Murakami, he said a 21.644. He's currently sitting in second on the grid. Is he going to be able to do anything here as far as maybe trying to challenge Miroslav for his pole? Seems like he's setting a good time. It's still actually a couple seconds off, and I think a large part of that is, again, he doesn't have anybody in front of him. So, Taylor, drafting with a couple of cars seems to be the name of the game out there here today, and you're not going to set a good lap time without at least having a drafting partner.
Exactly. Steve Ellison and Richard Yellins are coming across the line here in a few moments. As we see them cross the line, let's see if they're able to improve, or is this their out lap? I believe that might have been their out lap, so we'll have to keep an eye, see what they're due next time by. But they had a great line going on for them that time by. As Richard Yellins going into the infield section with Ellison right in front of him. Doing a great job of trying to hold the best line they can. Yellins going a little bit below that white line. As they're now, the checker flag is out, so whatever lap the drivers are on, this will be their final attempt to get the best attempt to qualify. As we're watching on with a couple of other drivers, seeing who comes across the line as we're on board with Richard Yellins. Coming out of the infield onto the oval banking of the track. We're looking to see if anyone's coming across the line first. I think Murakami is going to be the first one across the line. Second place right now, the Northwest Club driver coming out of NASCAR's 3 and 4 on the front straightaway. Let's see what he's able to do. He has a 1:21.64, currently sitting second. I don't think he's going to be able to improve this time. Has no help. No, he does not.
Yeah, and I think that's going to do it for as far as pole contenders here. But Yalin and Elson are still out there, and Elson's just going to bail. He's done. he's called it quits in qualifying. Richard Yalin comes across and able to set a 21.731. That actually bumps him up just a spot, so he goes from 5th to 4th. So that is a effort well worth it there. We'll see what Nico Schuch here can do. He's coming across the line without a drafting partner, and he don't think he had a drafting partner at all during that entire session. He still comes in a 10th slower than what his fastest lap time was. See anybody else is out there. Murakami is still out there. He's actually coming back onto the banking right now. Let's see if he's able to still put in a lap. Antonio Reese coming here to the line. His fastest so far is a 22.037. Is he going to be able to improve on that? He is not. So he is going to be locked into that 12th position. And all we are waiting on at this point is Chris Murakami to come across the line. But he is all by his lonesome. So I'm going to call it now. He's not going to improve. So I think with that, it is safe to go ahead and take a look at the grid, as Antonio Reese shouldn't be able to set a time here. So, row 1, your pole sitter today is going to be Miroslav Juracek. He is going to be set on 21.283, lightning quick lap. Murakami is going to be alongside him. Daniel Sadra will start on the inside of row 2. Richard Yalin and will be joining him there in row 2. Mathis Jaeger, that's a name we don't see very often here. He's going to be in row 3 alongside Edward Doherty. Stephen Elson in row 4, and Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray, one of those guys, he always likes to pit early. He always likes to try to make some waves. He's had a pretty good last couple of weeks, so we can see what he can do. Fred Desai in 9th, and David Gaspers in 10th. Taylor?
Starting in the 11th position will be Adam Bradshaw. Alongside him will be Antonio Reese in the 12th position. Bob Kern will be starting in the 13th position alongside Jim McGill in 14th. Gary Woldbold will start in the 15th position, followed by Jeff Jacobson starting in 16th. Dominic Bureau will be starting in 17th, with Tom Gradwell in 18th. Nico Schuch will start in the 19th, and rounding out your top 20 will be William Marshall. Adam?
Yeah, and to round out the field, these guys did not set qualifying times, and just to make sure they are all still here. All right, so Jerry McAreevy, Ryan Walker, they will make up row 11. Gehan and Andy Spicer are not currently in the session. And it looks like Francois Van Dornveld here has just joined, or he's able to get on the grid in time. So we'll be watching out for that. So we're waiting here. They will take a full pace lap around the Charlotte Roval, back behind that Porsche pace car. just waiting for everybody to get their cars on the grid here at this point.
This is the time where drivers need to start focusing in, getting things ready, closing out the season on a high note. Even though we might already know who the champions might be in our classes, it is good to know to see some drivers trying to go for it, get the best possible finish they can before we close out this season here next week at Spa. So drivers are trying to find their best opportunities to maybe pick up a win, a good finish, or best finish for the season, and get things ready for the new season coming up in a matter of time.
Yeah, it's all about building that momentum to the next season. It's all about the bragging rights for those other spots in the standings. So I know these guys, they're competitive. They definitely want to try to get out there. So I do not see Francois Van Dornveld actually out there. So he did not make the grid in time before the cars started rolling. So we'll see if he ends up starting in the pits. But Miroslav is just at this point just waiting. And this is a long pace lap when you got to go around here at 50 miles an hour, Taylor.
Any time is around this track is very slow when pace speed can be very long. You feel like just waiting and waiting, but you got to be patient. Get ready, keep focused when that leader's going to go. So this is the time to just start finding more of your points to break, finding points to find out where the best opportunity to make a better pass. Just take your time, focus, get settled in. It's a 40-minute race. Might seem like a short period of time, but sometimes for these drivers, depending on where you're at on the track, it can feel like an eternity. So these drivers are just trying to settle in, get things ready to go as we get ready to go green flag here at Charlotte.
All right, and we are going to have 40 minutes of racing once they take the green flag. We are rounding NASCAR 2, heading to the back straightaway. And if you're just now joining us, we are running the original Roval here at Charlotte, at least original to iRacing Roval. So there is no chicane on the back straightaway. They'll be able to just keep it fully matted to the floor and try to catch as much draft as they can from the car in front of them. Draft speeds will be critical here for today. The difference in speed as you're coming around the NASCAR portion of this track is about 10 to 15 miles an hour between having a drafting partner and not having a drafting partner. And that's going to be critical. And we already saw it in qualifying with guys seconds off each other for those that didn't have partners compared to those who did. So pace car getting ready to pull off. We're coming into NASCAR 4, getting ready to hit the front straightaway. Once that pace car pulls off, Miroslav Juracek will be able to control the field. He's waiting to get on the gas, and he is away. Green flag is out here at Charlotte. 40 minutes of Spec Racer Ford action for the penultimate round of the Weekend Warriors. Miroslav is going to be taking turn 1 unopposed, but Murakami, he had to cut off Daniel Sadro in order to make that corner. He's going to go ahead and take command of second place. Daniel Sadro will settle out in the third. Yurchidyalan in fourth. Doherty in fifth position. And that will actually get past Mateus Wigner. I got to get that name pronunciation here right, but he's actually going to take a trip off into the grass. Steven Elson sees it. He's not going to do anything with it, at least here at this point. Already we're seeing Miroslav try to get just a little bit of a lead going here on Murakami, but I bet that lead is going to disappear here in about 20-30 seconds as they're rounding the oval here at Charlotte. They make that transition for the first time. Pack of leaders all running nose to tail here and in line. See if anybody tries to start making moves early. Taylor, one thing that I've noticed too is that on these really long drafting sections, leapfrogging sometimes seems to be the way to go to try to keep everybody's speed up.
Yes, indeed, and that's what these drivers will do. As you notice, we have a couple of cars starting to break away up on the higher line, but now we see that big pack of cars coming in right behind them, starting to suck up on the draft. We already see it looked like to be the number 51 of Daniel Sadro already get passed by two cars, Edward Doherty and Richard Yalin, as he decided to take a little bit of a higher arc and let them by. But now the pack's starting to get right back up side by side, though. We see Matthias going inside of Steve Ellison along with David Gasper as they go down into turn 1 and now coming out of turn 2 right now.
Yeah, biggest loser in all that was Sadro. He kind of took the high line there through 3 and 4 and really bled positions there for a little bit and couldn't get back in line. So he's going to drop back to 5th position. Miroslav still in command of this race. He is won't be able to quite pull away on Murakami just yet. We'll need a couple of oval sections to see if he's able to do that. Not quite sure he'll be able to, as Murakami is still close enough to be able to suck right back up to him. However, Murakami there, you saw it right there, riding on board the car of Edward Doherty. Hit back in, try to come around on Murakami right one of our problem sections that we noted in the pre-race show. There's kind of a little bit of an off-camber uphill section right there, and that can upset the back ends of these cars. So already seeing that with a few guys out there here. Look at this. They're going to go below the white line just a touch. I believe here you are able to go below the white line a little bit, but you got to be back up there before the corner in those cones. Otherwise, iRacing will be the one to give you the black flag. But Yalin, Doherty working together. Doherty practically pushing Yalin here through 3 and 4. NASCAR 3 and 4, that is. Coming down the front straightaway, they better get off each other as they head into 1. And they got a big jump here on Yurchek. Yeah, we'll see if he's able to hold on to the lead. Richard Yalin trying to take the lead right now, and he's going to be able to do it. He takes sole command of first place.
That is what we call an excellent drafting pass, a slingshot around the leader to take the lead coming out of turn 1. Great effort we see by Richard Yalin to make that pass. Now Yurchek's got to see what he can do once they get onto the oval section. We know that he knows that Edward Doherty is a great pusher, so he's going to probably get back up to him when they get onto the oval section and try to utilize him to push him back up to the front of the pack. Well, obviously also Chris McCamey, he's also still trying to stay in this mix as we still see about 7 or 8 cars still in it for this lead right now as they come out of the infield section before onto the banking.
Richard Yalin waiting until the last possible second to make that transition up onto the banking, trying to smooth out that transition. Here comes Yurchek again. Yurchek's going to take a look to the inside. Yalin's going to let him have it here. Yurchek with a head full of steam. He's coming along, cruising mighty speed of 122 miles per hour. Yalin's going to slip in behind him, and Doherty's going to try to give him a little bit of a push here. Going through 3-4, upsets the back of the car just a little bit, but everybody gets through it. In fact, they actually still get faster. He's going to go ahead and try taking Yurchek here, going to the inside, or outside rather, of turn 1. See if he's able to get clear of him here. Yurchek clips the grass ever so slightly, and actually Yalin might actually fall all the way back here to 3rd or 4th unless he's able to get a good run. Yurchek's going to drop back down. And who's that back there trying to make it? David Gasper's trying to do something a little bit there. He's going to go ahead and get around Edward Doherty.
Yeah, he made a great pass going down into 3 and 4 right now, and be able to get by Edward Doherty as they're now coming up through the final sections of 7 and 8. Yurchek doing a great job of queuing with the draft, but he's got to be careful when we get later in the runs of not wanting to be that lead car coming to the checkered flag. Otherwise, he will easily not be able to pick up that win as he was already, though not the leader, when they crossed the finish line.
We started this race with 22 cars on the track, and 12 of them are right here, nose to tail, 1st through 12th on back, all within drafting distance of one another, so they're all staying together. Yurchek's going to move to the outside. He's going to let Yalin have the inside. He's going to drop back down, try to catch that draft once again. See if he's able to do anything here with it. He's going to get a little bit of a run coming back into turn 1. He's going to try coming back on Yalin. See who leads here at the line. And I think it's going to be Yurchek leading at the line there, and indeed it is. But Yalin has the inside line here coming into turn 1. And into turn 2, he'll be able to hold that position. In fact, Miroslav might actually drop back to 3rd here as David Gasper's really putting the pressure on. Look, he is coming up strong here. The back end trying to come around on David Gasper's. He's able to get it straightened out, but that does mean he's going to have to continue to fight Miroslav for that 2nd position.
Yeah, but he was able to make the pass now on the outside before they got up to the uphill of 7 and 8 right now. Doherty's trying to go see if he can do the same thing, but cannot do it. He's going to have to fall right back in line, see what he can do when they come up out to NASCAR turn 1 and 2 here as they come up off the banking, up to the banking now, and see what he can do. Miroslav, though, still going to be on the back bumper of David Gasper as they come out of NASCAR turn 2.
That lead pack still together for the most part. The biggest thing right now is Yalin kind of has himself up way ahead of David Gasper's, but Yurchek's going to go ahead and pop out. Going to go ahead and try to get around Gasper's here going through NASCAR 3 and 4. Not quite able to do it, but they still continue to close the gap on Yalin. They're going to try going 3 wide here. No, they're not, but Miroslav's going to go ahead and try going back to the lead. He's going to go ahead and take that lead coming across the stripe here for this time. And Yalin gets clipped. He is upside down. He is on his lid. You've got 4 or 5 cars all in the top 6 here involved in this one going into turn 1. Massive pile up. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the GSRC replay here. look at this from above. And this was race changing out there. As even now, by the way, we'll come to it again here in a second, but Steven Elson is now off. But look at this. Miroslav gets that lead, and then he gets clear of everything, but Gaspers does not. Gets clipped by Yalin. Yalin goes up. 4 or 5 cars right there, all involved. We're going to go ahead and ride aboard here. This is Edward Doherty from New York. He's going to have a big bird's eye view of this. See them get hooked. And just along for the ride there, Taylor.
He was. He had a great run coming out of NASCAR Turn 4 and was trying to make a pass also on the outside, trying to follow along with Yalin, but was unable to keep up. And then, of course, the incident that happened right in front of him as we're on board with Steve Ellison, seeing how he tried to get through it. He does a great job of avoiding the incident as he slotted up into third, but unfortunately, though, has dropped back to ninth after another incident a little bit later on when he was on track. As we see him now, he's got quite a bit of damage to that car. He might have to come down pit road to get some repairs needed, and that fast repair.
Yeah, and Richard Yalin has decided to go ahead and call it a day out there. Edward Doherty is now down pit road. He was bleeding positions, just too much damage. And following him is going to be David Gaspers. They'll get their fast repairs, and they'll see if they're able to recover here. I think now the biggest story is going to be the fact that Miroslav Juracek here has jumped out to about a 3-second lead. So, what about this next pack? Stadro, Murakami, Bradshaw, Desai. I mean, that changed things big. And now we'll see if they can run down that 3-second gap going up to Miroslav Juracek. This is going to be interesting to watch, because if a 3-second lead can disappear over the course of a couple laps, this is basically lessons being learned for later this race at this point here, Taylor.
Yeah, 6 cars are currently lined up nose to tail. I'm pretty sure within at least a lap or lap or two, they will be able to catch up to Miroslav as they're coming out of NASCAR Turn 2. But as long as they stay nose to tail, if they start battling more and more, especially on this part of the track, it will be more difficult for them to catch up to Miroslav, as we now see what looks like to be Chris McCurmy, as they coming out of NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to go underneath Daniel Sadro, along with what looks like Adam Bradshaw, and he gets a great run coming out of Turn 4, and he's going to slot into second position now.
Give you an idea, Adam Bradshaw back there making waves. He was cruising along 128 miles an hour while he was doing that. He brought Stevie Ray up with him as they go through turns 1 and 2 complex here, both left-handers. And in all of that, though, Miroslav, his top speed while that was going on was 120 miles an hour. So that's an 8-mile-an-hour difference at that time between him and Bradshaw. And that gap, at least at the time at the line, was 3.1 seconds, now 3.6 on the board as they go through the infield section of the course.
They got to be careful and manage that gap. Miroslav has to, in order to try and see if he can still hold this gap. I mean, he's able to hold it when they get to infield, but when they get onto the banking and the oval part of the track, that's where he loses all that time. I mean, you're looking at about a good 7 to 8 mile an hour difference right there last time by. So Miroslav had to mind that gap as best he can, as well as these drivers who are in second, third, fourth, and fifth. They're going to have to start working together and not try to battle too hard, focus more on catching the leader instead of more on focusing and passing each other.
Alrighty, so this could play a thing here later on this race, depending on how much ground they can gain. But Edward Doherty, David Gaspers, both back out there with new cars. We know they are fast, and if they got the fuel in the car, they might not have to make another stop here the rest of the way while everybody else does. So we'll see how that ultimately ends up playing out. Getting back up to that pack, though, there's Murakami getting past Stevie Ray, trying to do something on the outside. Looks like he's going to clear him here, going through 1, coming into 2. Murakami loses that position to Stevie Ray. So moves Stevie Ray up to second position. A little bit of contact back there with Fred Desai and Adam Bradshaw. Everybody's able to get away with it. Probably only lost just a couple of tenths. And I am hearing Steven Elson might be in trouble again. He is on pit road. We're going to take a look at the GSRC replay. What happened? Oh, looks like he just kind of got tight or something into turn 1, slapped the wall, and rode that wall for a while. He was already damaged from that earlier incident. Watch him here coming into turn 1. And Taylor, it looks like the back end tried to step out. He tried to catch it and just barely clipped that wall, broke the suspension. That was all she wrote.
Yeah, a little bit of overcorrection, causing it to get into the wall, going up on two wheels, riding that wall before coming back down hard onto that car. That's going to be a little bit of repairs done to that car as he's still out on pit road trying to get a tow, as well as to get that new car out of the pits and get back out on track. We still have quite a bit of racing to go, so anything can happen.
Well, right now, anything can happen is falling into Miroslav Juracek's just everything. Everything's falling in place. He put another second and a half on those guys because Stevie Ray, Murakami, Adam Bradshaw, Desai, all those guys back there continue to fight for position instead of working together, and that's just allowing Miroslav here to pull away just a little bit by little bit every single lap here at this point.
Oh, and so it looks like Bradshaw went off course right there. He's still in the grass. He's going to lose a lot of position and a lot of time to that lead draft.
Oh, it's actually more than that. He did slap the wall just a touch in the Armco, so he's got a little bit of damage, and he's going to lose the draft of that pack probably.
Yeah, he's only got Jim McGill right behind him. That's not going to be a big enough draft. Plus, with that damage he has, as we saw on board, that's going to lose a little bit of speed for him as well as he's coming up out of the infield course and coming on NASCAR turn 1 and 2 right now. We see McGill right behind him. He's going to see if he can try to work with him or just hurry up and get by him, knowing that he is a little bit slower.
We will see what happens. It might be one of those things, though, now that Adam Bradshaw, if he can make it the rest of the way, if he were to come in now, might want to consider coming in and getting that fast repair. But right now, that means nothing to the likes of Jim McGill, who he's going to go ahead and try getting around him. Use him while he's there and use that draft. That next pack, though, starting to bump draft. Stevie Ray, though, hey, now we know we're in our pit window. How do we know? Because Stevie Ray is coming down pit road. He always likes to pit early, and indeed here he is coming to his pit box. Interested to see how long he has actually stopped here for.
Keep in mind,
Texas driver is the one that helps put on the Weekend Warrior. So always great to see Stevie Ray out there competing and actually having a really good run here as of late. Looking back on track, Desai, Murakami, Sadro still out there along with Antonio Reese. So Antonio Reese trying to make his presence known there in that pack. Another taker coming down pit road is going to be William Marshall, one of the guys that was in the back. So and now also, just to update you on some of the guys that were involved in the accident earlier, Doherty and Gasper starting to make up positions actually on the racetrack. So they actually are gaining ever so slightly on Miroslav, but wouldn't be enough to get them there by the end of the race if everything stayed the way it is now. But we're thinking they may not have to pit. So we'll be keeping an eye on that here through the rest of the day.
I'm still impressed with what Miroslav is able to do now. 5.4 seconds separate him from that pack of 3 cars on the track right now. Fred Desai currently the lead car in that pack. And we also notice a little bit of damage right there on Miroslav's car on that nose of that Spec Racer Ford as he's coming down out into turn 1 and going into turn 2 into the infield section of the course. A great run, though, still. It's not affecting him too much because he is still pulling away from these pack of 4 cars coming up into turn 3.
And I have a feeling we're going to see some scrapes on that part of the air dam a lot because I see it on Murakami and on Antonio Reese. I think it might be the transition going on to the NASCAR banking. Jerry McAreevy has a spot right there, so I'm thinking that might be okay because at the very least everybody else will probably have the same damage there by the end of the race. Miroslav is still, though, even then, still trying to run away with it. And actually, once this pack here, now led by Desai, followed by Murakami, then Sadro, then Antonio Reese. When they were working together there for about 2 laps, they actually gained a little bit on Miroslav. So they need to get back to working together here and try to chase down the leader of this race. And don't forget, as we've seen many times here, pit stops still have to happen, and pit stops can change this game. We are now almost halfway. We're about 3 minutes away from halfway here at Charlotte. If you're just joining us, if you haven't already noticed, the yellow walls at Charlotte means we're back on the Gen 1 road course here, the Roval at Charlotte. So we do not have that chicane on the back straightaway. It is full throttle coming out from the infield section all the way down to hit the front straightaway. So long way around. Drafting, as it's being very obvious, is the name of the game here today.
Yes, indeed. As we're now watching on board with there, we see Adam Bradshaw staying with this pack of McGill and McAvery as they're going into turn 2 right now on board with McGill. Having a great run right now, currently sitting in the 8th position. He's trying his best, though, to stay up with these two drivers, not to lose that much of a draft, but still has a long way to go. A little bit of work to do here in order to try to get a good top 10 finish here today.
Watching everybody here still trying to fight. And as they continue to swap positions, they continue to lose ground. Right now, we're watching Jerry McAreevy out there along with Adam Bradshaw. Adam Bradshaw still has that damage there on the left side of his vehicle. We'll see if he takes his faster pair when he decides to come down pit road. But at the very least here, Taylor, it seems like his lap times have at least stabilized, so he's not losing too much more than what he had already lost. So that's good news for him. But starting to see another pack come together as Jim McGill has been able to get to the back of Bradshaw, back again to the back of Bradshaw. He did have to pass him a little while ago. And then Ryan Walker is starting, I think, to sniff that draft as well. So that's going to be interesting. Jerry McAreevy, though, deciding to come down pit road and always needing a drafting partner on a drafting track to come down with you. Jim McGill graciously follows him along. So these two will be hitting pit road, be able to come back out together and become drafting partners once they get back out on track.
I noticed on pit road, Edward Doherty, he was up inside the top 15 earlier now, but he's back out on pit road. So something must have happened to him a little bit ago. We'll have to take a look at that maybe later on. So we're going back and see what we can find on Edward Doherty. Had another issue again on track, and unfortunately I already used his fast repair, so he is not going to be able to continue. As we look and see, this is going, looks like through turns 3 and 4. He's already got that damage already and just loses it right there. That bank can cause him to get loose, cause the back end to come around. And I think he just decides to go ahead and park the car knowing his day is done.
Yeah, and indeed he has left the session, so he is done for the day. And also Steven Elson. I know we got a bunch of Steven Elson fans. He is also done for the day. Getting back up to that pack for their second, third, fourth, and fifth. Well, now they're starting to work a little bit together. Got a 3-car train here trying to get around Murakami. Even then, though, they're still losing ground to your leader, Miroslav Juracek, out there. Coming down to the stripe. Daniel Sadro is going to be able to take that second position away. So that goes Sadro second, and then, Fred Desai now in third, fourth Murakami, and fifth is Antonio Reese.
Give a big shout out to David Gasper. He's now broken inside the top 10, running in 9th position. After his incident he had, great effort he's doing. Actually moved up to the 8th position now. So he is definitely a man on a mission. He still has a long ways back to catch back up to the leaders, but still 20 minutes to go. A lot can happen, and we still have pit stops for the top 7.
Yeah, and we're not sure if he's going to have to pit or not again. So that's one thing that we're watching very closely. But as of right now, you mentioned it, he's a man on a mission. He's actually been able to gain a little bit in relation to the leader, Miroslav Juracek. So he has been faster than your leader at times. It's just a question, I think, does he have enough time and can things go his way? Back up to that pack there for second. We're looking at Sadro getting a nice little bump draft here from Fred Desai. Desai trying to push him around the NASCAR oval. And while he's doing that, they are pulling away from Murakami and Antonio Reese. That's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be able to gain a little bit here on your leader. And indeed, this time around, I don't think they're going to lose hardly anything compared to what the gap was the last time around. So cars starting to work together out there. See if they're able to do anything with it within that course in the next couple of laps, because pit stops are looming.
Yes, indeed. They notice it. We're halfway home through this race. They need to start doing something now. Otherwise, they're just going to be able to just give this win over to Miroslav. And unfortunately for them, that's not going to be what they want. They want to be the ones who take the win. They need to start working together now. I think they're starting to settle down, trying to figure out also who might be the best car to lead it. As we see Sadro go way wide up through 7. Oh, that's Desai, sorry. Desai went way wide. The French club driver was way wide off that course. He's now going to lose that draft and fall back. So let's see what he does when he gets near pit road. Will he consider coming down pit road or be patient and run another lap? We are watching closely. Jerry McAreevy, by the way, came down pit road, and
looks like he took his fast repair also, whether that was intentional or not. Either way, has a completely clean front air dam, which I'm sure won't be clean the next time he probably hits the banking hard. So if you're just watching us now, that one of the areas that we were most concerned about going into today was that transition coming back up onto the banking in NASCAR 1, and that has a tendency to upset the car, and just enough that might cause a little bit of damage to the front air dams, but nothing to be too overly concerned about. More guys coming down pit road, including Fred Desai. Fred Desai making his way down. Ryan Walker also coming down pit road. I think Fred Desai decided, hey, after I took that trip in the grass and the dirt, I'm going to go ahead and get, at least some fuel to make it the rest of the way. We'll see if he puts on tires here also.
Welcome back to the top 5, David Gasper. He is now back in 5th, so the drive is still alive for him. Doing a great job, still about 24 seconds back from the leader. But it can possibly close that gap, though, before this race is over with 17 minutes to go. With how fast he's going, as he's currently set the fastest lap of the race with under a minute 20, or around a minute 20. Great effort for him. He's doing a great drive here today.
Yeah, and by the way, that 24 seconds is another second that he's gained on your leader, Miroslav Juracek, since the last time we checked into him, probably, 2 or 3 laps ago. So, David Gaspers, you said it best, Taylor. He is a man on a mission right now. Let's go ahead and check in with Fred Desai, just coming out of pit road, along with Ryan Walker, and they at least found some partners out there for a little while. Jim McGill is out there, and Adam Bradshaw as well. Oh, is that Desai that went off?
Desai in the same spot again, went off in 7 and 8 again, so he needs to find a better rhythm right there as we go back on board for the replay. Just going up, I think he touched the grass a little bit, and there it goes. The grass just sucked him right back into the gravel area. Has to find a way to get back out on course before not causing any contact, so he keeps it clean for the most part, but lost a lot of time. Back in 15th position for it to say.
Yeah, and if you've never actually raced on this particular version of Charlotte, if you put any kind of wheel off there, and it's a very tough transition. There's no lines denoting it, the asphalt from the dirt. It is very much, you put a wheel off, you might go for a little bit of a ride. Now, you might slide a while before you hit something, but you're going to go for a little bit of ride. Looking at some bump drafting going on right now. That is Jim McGill and Adam Bradshaw. Adam Bradshaw giving Jim McGill that nice little push. They're going into turn 1. They are doing their best right now to work together to try to gain some ground, as the guys in front of them still have to pit. Also, still that 3-car train for the lead. Now, last time we checked on them, they were about 6.6 seconds behind your leader. Now that gap is extended to about 7.5 seconds. There's Daniel Sadro. He's getting a bump draft now from Murakami. Yes, these SRF's bump draft. We've seen it numerous times here this season. We're definitely seeing it out there here for today. And Sadro's going to get a nice little run going down to turn 1.
A great effort that we see from Sadro as he's holding on, going into turn 3 right now with Mirakumi still on his back bumper. And then, of course, Antonio Reese holding on in the 4th position, staying up with these 3. They're going to see what they can do, but so far from what I've been able to see, these cars have not just been able to get organized enough to catch up with Miroslav. So they need to figure out something, maybe consider pitting a little bit early to see if they can leapfrog Miroslav, but they need to figure out something, and something fast. Less than 15 minutes to go in this race.
Miroslav has been able to set the kinds of times that he's been doing with no help in front of him at all. He is all by his lonesome out there. We are now looking at trying to see who that is there on pit road. But pit stops definitely becoming the name of the game here, as well as the draft. And Bob Curran's in the pits, Jeff Jacobson, looking at Gary Woolbolt. So pit road's starting to become even more of a busy place. And Bradshaw is around. Let's see what happened here. Oh, it looks like he just went a little wide. Riding on board, he's going to go just a touch wide. He's going to put that left rear tire in the dirt. And around he goes, Taylor.
Unfortunate again for him. Adam Bradshaw was on a good recovery drive, but just made that small mistake. It was able to cost him big time. So he's going to have to figure something out to try to see if he can try and stop the bleeding as best he can. He's got a couple of cars coming up behind him, but there's still lap traffic is not going to be able to help him too much as David Gasper is coming down pit road. So we now know he doesn't have enough fuel to finish this race. So he's going to be dropping back a couple of positions now.
we'll see what he's able to still do with it. I mean, your leader still has to pit. We were already thinking that it might be too little, too late. So Gasper's going to have to give up the ghost just a little bit here as he's making his way now off of pit road. And this pit exit here, man, it really dumps you right into traffic. So you got to be careful with that. So far has not been a problem out there here today. Everybody's been very cognizant of that. David Gasper's now, I believe he will be showing a lap down, or not quite a lap down. That's Fred to say in front of him.
Give a shout out to our S2 leader, Dominic Biro. He's currently holding on in 5th position overall, but still leading in the class, as Jim McGill is about 7 seconds behind him. He's 2nd place in the S2 class, doing a great job between these two as they're having a great run here today. And it looks like Miroslav is coming down pit road.
Here is your leader coming to his stop. Juracek, known for being able to get on and off pit road very efficiently. He's gotten a few positions in the past, and right now, I mean, that might be what needs to keep him in the lead. Murakami also coming down pit road. Now, Murakami here with his pit stop, that is huge because he is by himself. There's nobody coming down with him, so let's see where he's going to shake out here a little bit. Dominique Barreau is now the next one to come down pit road, so pit road becoming a busy place once again.
Doing a great job right now as Dominic Biro is going to drop back now, giving the lead in S2 to Jim McGill, but he will have to probably make another pit stop. Actually, he's already made his pit stop. So only 2-3 cars still on the track that have not made their pit stop. And I believe that's Cedro and Antonio Reese, who are running 1-2 right now, coming down the back straightaway here on the oval part of the track, lined up nose to tail. The Club Midwest driver and the Club Iberian driver coming now into NASCAR 3 and 4. This is probably going to be the time we will see them make their pit stop. Let's see right now as they're coming close to pit road entry. It looks like Antonio's going to duck down. No, he is also coming down. Same thing with Daniel Cedro. Watching their pit limit, not to be speeding going down pit road because that will cost them dearly here. And now we have to wait and see if they're able to keep up with Miroslav, or will they go back to the original way before the pit stop cycle.
Meanwhile, Juracek still all by his lonesome out there. He should retake the lead once everything shakes out. Jerry McAreevy, though, getting around Chris Murakami. So those guys are now together. Jim McGill is back there as well, and Ryan Walker. So we're seeing a bunch of guys now that have made pit stops, and if everything shakes out with the likes of Sadro and Reese coming up here in a minute, they might fall back into this pack. So they're going to have even a larger pack here. So at this point, the race is for second, but it might be an exciting race to watch.
It will be. I mean, look at it right there. We have about 4 or 5 cars coming in right there, as we see McAvery holding on to that lead of this pack right now. There's Chris Murakami right on his tail in that 0-1 spec racer as they go up to turn 7 and 8. Have to keep an eye, see what they're able to do right now. Jim McGill holding on to his class lead. He's got Ryan Walker on his back bumper as well. That's the battle for S2 over class lead right now. Let's see what Ryan's going to be able to do as they come up onto the banking here of NASCAR turn 1 and 2. He's going to take a look to the outside. Doesn't have any help right now, so you might have to consider ducking back down behind McGill as they're coming down the back straightaway now. See what he does. Looking, takes a peek to the outside and see if he can slingshot around to the outside and take the lead in the S2 class.
That is almost a power move there, but he's not quite able to hold it. Doesn't have any help up there. And in fact, looking there, that's Fred Desai trying to stick his nose in there, keep him from coming back in the line. Fred Desai, though, decides to go ahead and swing out here and maybe try to get around Jim McGill here going into 1. But no, he's going to fall right back behind Jim McGill, and Ryan Walker clips that turn 1 wall. Looking at the way his car is driving, I think his suspension is broke.
He just went a little bit too
high.
high.
To bring it around, but that is damaging. He had a great race going there. And you're right, just a touch too high there, Taylor.
Yep, into the barrier, hard contact right there. That day is probably going to be done for Ryan Walker as far as for getting a good finish in the top 3 in his class, but Unfortunate for Ryan Walker. Great run he was having. So he's going to, looks like, try to coast it back to pit road right now, as he's got to worry about Nico in the 287 coming by around him. Just trying to get the car not to cause too much more damage or even wreck the car even more as he cuts it through the grass. Spins out right there. That's a bad area to be blocking the track. He needs to get around there as best he can or tow it.
Got some cars coming up here, including Gradwell. A few more. Barreau, Jacobson. Bob Kern still has to go through, so he's stuck. He is going to get back out there, though.
This area of the track will be a little bit easier. He could just ride the apron if need be, or run that really high line for the most part.
And hitting that cone right there, iRacing probably will give him a cut course penalty. And he's just coasting at this point. So I think it's safe to say his day, at least as he knew it, is done. We'll follow him later on. McAreevy, though, still out there. Sadro and Reese have now made their pit stops. They were able to get back about a second and a half on Miroslav from before when the cycle started. But at the same time, they're still over 6 seconds back. So not enough.
They're going to need a lot of help to try to catch up to the back bumper of Miroslav as the leader. He is just pulled away now. It's over 7 seconds separating these two drivers right now. Antonio Reese starting to even pull away from Sadro a little bit, so they need to utilize and just figure something out. But it might be too little too late for those two drivers to catch up to Miroslav.
Ryan Walker has made it back to his pit box. The car did not snap into place magically. I think his day is effectively done. So that unfortunate there for Ryan Walker. Going back up there, though, we'll take a look. Okay, where's David Gaspers shaking out now? Well, last time we checked in on David Gaspers, it was before his pit stop cycle, and he was 24 seconds back behind your leader, Miroslav Juracek. Now he's 19.8 seconds back. So he is hustling still and just gaining spots left and right. If he keeps going at this rate, he's going to have a good shot at maybe trying to get into the top 4 spots here. So I don't think he's going to be able to get second or third. We only got about 5 minutes or so left in the race, but I think that a lot of these spots here right in front of him are definitely attainable. He's got likes of Jim McGill up there. That's Fred Desai up there in front of Jim McGill, and then only a little bit in front of those guys is Murakami and Jerry McAreevy. So see what David Gasper is able to do, but he is still one of the quickest cars out there.
He is doing a great job as best he can right now. As we're looking on board with, or on the track right now, Chris Mirakumi is still trying to find a way to get by McAreevy. He's coming up close, though, as they're coming into NASCAR 3 and 4. Fred Desai not too far behind, about 2 seconds back, closing in as we go on board with Gary McAreevy. See that nose of Chris Mirakumi coming right up on there, going to give him a bump right there, coming out of turn 4 on NASCAR oval section of the track, across the start finish line, has to back off though before they can set up for turn 1.
I'm looking at lap times here, and it's amazing. As far as your cars in the top 10, one of the slowest ones that last time around was your leader, Miroslav Juracek. I think right now he's just kind of in cruise control mode and just trying not to make any mistakes. So that's a sign that he feels pretty comfortable right now, I think, as opposed to him starting to struggle. So Miroslav, as long as he keeps the car clean here through these final couple of minutes, I think he's going to be able to pick up a good win here today. As far as Gaspers is concerned, we've been following his recovery drive. Well, now he is on the back of Jim McGill. We'll see if he's able to get him here on the drafting section of the racetrack. He's sitting in 8th right now, but he'd really like to grab those 7th and 6th positions so he can continue his march toward the front in the closing minutes of this race. Now up to about 118 miles an hour, 120. 123, speed continuing to climb. Now, at the same time, McGill does have the draft of Desai, so not able to quite get as much gap as he wants, but here he comes. He's going to go ahead and try taking a look to the outside. Is he going to try to get both of these positions here going into turn 1? There he is alongside Desai. He is past Desai. He's going to leapfrog both of them as they fly off into turn 1, and now he's setting course for Murakami and McAreevy. We'll see if he's able to catch him before the end of this race. Probably only have here about, I'm going to guess, about 2 laps or so left in this one. Juracek is starting to go through the infield portion of the course, and falling only a couple seconds behind are the likes of Antonio Reese, Daniel Sadro. Go another 7 seconds behind. That's when you got McAreevy and Murakami, and that's your top 5 right now. So Gaspers wants to get into that top 5.
He is going to try to do everything he can to hold off David Gasper. It's going to be a little bit difficult, though, because he has been showing quite a bit of speed, David Gasper. He set the fastest lap earlier on. Last lap, he actually set a 120.89.
That was Murakami.
Oh, and we see Murakami off.
Murakami hard contact with the wall, trying to see what happened here. Oh, he was coming up onto the banking. Wasn't quite settled when it happened. He overcorrected and just shot into that wall. Fortunate break for Chris Murakami. The car doesn't even sound right here at this point, Taylor.
No, it does not. I think it's safe to say Chris Murakami's day will be done. Unfortunate for the driver, having a great run early on and throughout this whole race pretty much, but unfortunately he will not be able to finish this race. Car is completely destroyed. The nose is gone. A lot of damage to the rear end of the car. Suspension damage for sure, so unfortunate for Chris Murakami.
All right, Miroslav Juracek heading through some of those off-camber infield corners. Here in a second, he'll take the back straightaway, and excuse me, I'm still looking a little bit behind, but he's actually now rounding the back straightaway. So he should get the white flag here this time by. So great race from Miroslav Juracek. I don't think David Gaspers is going to have enough time to be able to catch McAreevy. So for second, Antonio Reese and Daniel Sadro still going at it. Antonio Reese actually taking a look to the inside right now of Daniel Sadro as they come to the front straightaway. I wonder if these guys will be able to leapfrog once or twice more here before we come to the line. I mentioned that the battle might be for second, and the fun spot to watch is going to be second place. And I don't think these two are going to disappoint. And we're going to be able to watch Juracek come across the line here in a few minutes, and we're going to be able to come right back to these guys and see how it all shakes out by the time everything's said and done, because they'll still be rounding NASCAR 3 and 4, I believe they're at that point, or coming out of 4, rather. Anyway, right now, Daniel Sadra doing what he can to just stay on the back bumper there of Antonio Reese. You have to go up another it's almost 7.5 seconds to get back up to your leader, Miroslav Juracek, who is now coming up. Adam Bradshaw is off the track again. Looks like he spun out coming onto the banking. Juracek is going to get past him, no problem. You saw Murakami there having another off. Miroslav Juracek now on the back straightaway. He knows it. He's just weaving on the back straightaway now. He's having fun. Miroslav Juracek rounding NASCAR 4. He sees the checkered flag coming in sight. Flagman has it in his hands. It is waving. Miroslav Juracek is going to win at the Charlotte Roval in the penultimate round of the Weekend Warriors. We're going to fall on back. Antonio Reese, Daniel Sadro coming to the line. Who's going to get it? Sadro on the outside for second place. Antonio Reese will be in third. McAreevy is going to be in fourth. David Gasper's in fifth, but the race now is for sixth. Oh, look at that. Jim McGill is going to... Did he get him at the line? He did. That was Jim McGill and Fred Desai there coming to the line for that. Looking back here, Stevie Ray coming across now. Just a well race. Look at this run up to the line, Taylor.
Effort we see these two. Stevie Ray just goes to the outside, slingshots right by, and as we stop the replay right there, there's how close it was to the finish. Great effort that Fred Desai was able to just be able to hold off Stevie Ray.
Alrighty, well, we've got a lot to go over in our final standings. We had a couple of things happen to a few guys that we've been following all race right there at the end. We'll try to cover all of that when we come back here on GSRC and the iRacing Esports Network. Welcome back to Charlotte here on GSRC and the iRacing Esports Network. And, well, Miroslav Jurček ran away with it, but the show was behind him. Multiple battles to the line here at Charlotte for this afternoon. Miroslav Jurček, as we mentioned, taking a win. But look at Sadro and Reese. Sadro pulls out second place only by 0.08 of a second over Antonio Reese. Jerry McAreevy came across the line in fourth. David Gaspers on that recovery drive after that big accident, a couple laps into this one, he's able to come home in fifth. Jim McGill in sixth position. Look at that gap. That one was 0.02 of a second between him and Fred Desai. Stevie Ray back there. Hey, and another one that was within a second of each other, Dominic Barreau and Nico Shook. That's going to round out your top 10. Taylor?
Finishing in the 11th position will be Tom Gradwell, followed by Jeff Jacobson in 12th. Bob Kern comes home in 13th position, followed by Gary Wolbolt, will round out your lead lap cars in 14th. Adam Bradshaw will come home 15th with Chris Mirakumi in 16th with William Marshall 17th. Ryan Walker in 18th. Edward Doherty, another front runner early on, was not able to finish. He will DNF in 19th. Steve Ellison will also come home in 20th. As we go through the rest of the field, 21st will be Richard Yolland with Matthias Weger will come home 22nd. And then Mark Gehan and Andy Spicer did not start, so they will not receive any points or any result for that matter.
Alrighty, well, that rounds out your race results here for today. Fantastic race. And we don't have our winner yet in the booth, but we got the next best thing is a fantastic run to the line. Daniel Sadro coming home in second place over top of Antonio Reese. Hey, Daniel, tell us about that last lap in trying to get back around Antonio Reese and steal that position.
Well, it was incredible. I was basically just the last 5 laps. I was kind of figuring out what Antonio was doing, and he was figuring out what I was doing. And I had seen that he would just lag a little bit back and then get a head of steam to pass me, and that's what I did. I just got a bit more of a gap and then just drove past him. But wow, what a race!
Well, and of course, we're going next up to Spa. And Spa, obviously, a little bit more on the technical side, but you also have that large drafting areas mixed in with it. You hoping to be able to pull a few slingshot moves there also?
Yeah, if I'm anywhere near the front, hopefully I'll be able to do that as well. By the way, congratulations to Miroslav. He just was the class of the field today as well.
Yeah, he really was. So, but definitely an eventful day out there for you, Mr. Sadro, and hopefully we see you up at the front again here next week.
Well, thanks. I hope so too. Have a good one, guys.
All right, that was your second place runner today, Daniel Sadro, and Taylor is going to catch up with Antonio Reese.
Here with Antonio Reese, great effort. We saw you today as you battled with Daniel Sadro. Tell us about how your race was going for you today, Antonio.
Hello, good night, guys. Good night, everyone watching. It was a great battle. I know Daniel. I raced with him a lot of times. I know he's a very clean driver. So I was trying to negotiate with him to see. I was trying to get ahead of him on the last lap, but I couldn't get enough speed.
And early on in the race, we saw you guys try to catch up with Miroslav, but was unable to. Was there a reason why some of the drivers couldn't just work together to try to catch up, or was there just due to the fact that Miroslav had just that speed needed to stay away from everyone?
Oh, I don't know exactly. I have no answer for that.
All right. Well, Miroslav, as we round out the season next week at Spa, what are you most looking forward to that race, as well as how would you like to close out this season?
I always look for get as much as ahead as I can, and a nice battle. I like racing. The feel of race is great.
All right. Well, Antonio, again, congratulations on your podium finish here today at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we look forward to seeing you the next round.
Yeah, hope to see you too. Thank you.
Was Antonio Reese finishing in the top 3, and now we have McGill coming in, I believe.
Yes.
Yay, Jim. Hey, Adam Young up here in the booth with you.
How are you, Adam?
Man, that was another great run between you and Fred Desai. We were talking about the battle a few minutes ago for second and third. That one was 0.08 of a second. You and Fred Desai, that was 0.02 of a second that you were able to get past him. So just a great back half of the race for you.
Yeah, everything went pretty smooth the whole race. Big thing, I just tried to stay out of trouble, and I had a good pit stop, which is rare for me. But it all just worked out for me today, and I managed to get a hang with Fred coming out of the infield, and that draft just pulled me right up on him and just squeaked him out there at the line.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was definitely good to see that honey car of yours almost in the top 5 here for today. Do you think anything could have played out just a little bit different to get you into that top 5 this afternoon?
Oh, maybe a little more practice and a little better weather. That track was a little greasy, and I was just never really able to get into a rhythm today, but I'll take what I got, go from there.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you are driving the honey car. I mean, maybe you could just like put some along the ground a little bit in front of you, maybe get some stickiness like that, right?
Yeah, lay a big honey slick down.
Hey, Jim, appreciate you, man, and we'll see you next week at Spa.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
All right, so that was your 6th place finisher here for today, Jim McGill. Great run to the line between him and Fred Desai. And now Taylor's going to catch up with Ryan Walker.
Ryan Walker, not the best results here today, but still a great effort you try to put up today, finishing in the top 10 in your class. Tell us about how your race gone for you.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I never really had a chance to practice this week, just due to the lack of time and being busy with other stuff. But yeah, I've been quite enjoying this track in the Spec Racer Ford this week, especially in the official series. And yeah, I had a good battle with, I think it was Jim McGill. I had a good battle with for a few laps towards the end, and yeah, got a good run on him heading down the home straight into turn 1. And yeah, just unfortunately when I braked, I just unfortunately carried too much speed and ran wide and hit the wall. And yeah, that was it, race over. But yeah, overall, that was good fun. And really enjoying the racing in the Weekend Warriors. And yeah, anyone that's thinking about giving the league a try, yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
All right. Well, next week we're going to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. What are you most looking forward to that race as we close out the season?
Just basically just the same as usual, just close racing with other people. Just basically getting more practice with the Spec Racer Ford, and most of all, just enjoying myself. But it would be good to maybe try and get a win in the Spec 2 class to round out the season. But yeah, just overall, I've just been enjoying myself, and yeah, that should be good fun as always.
All right. Well, again, Ryan, we look forward to seeing you next week at the next round, and hope you enjoy the rest of your season.
All right, thanks, guys.
And that is just about going to do it here for today. Want to thank our sponsors once again, Hallett Race Shop at hallettracing.net. Definitely go check them out. And of course, also go check out that cruise out there that we got some iRacers putting on. You can find out more about that at facebook.com/cruiseshopfw. We also want to thank the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, that's where you've been watching it here for today. Courtesy of you also by GSRC. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to Team Today, Taylor, Amjad, Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram, that's my favorite, at GSRC_Graham. Next race, the championship finale, Weekend Warriors at Spa. And that's going to be Sunday, June 2nd, 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have upcoming races for our races, other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down in your calendar. Till next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.